Stop chasing, start attracting. Let's cut through the noise. If you're watching this right now, chances are you've been ignored, ghosted, or left feeling like you were never enough for her. You tried to be the nice guy. You gave. You waited. You stayed up late replying to texts that never came. You kept the energy alive while she slowly pulled away. Sound familiar? Here's the truth most men don't want to hear but need to. The more you chase, the faster she runs. It's not because you're not good enough. It's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because you're giving away your power, and she can feel it. You're placing her on a pedestal, and that pedestal is built from your own self-worth. Why the world lied to you? Society told you, prove your love. Be consistent. Make her feel like a queen. But here's the problem. You're treating her like a queen while forgetting you're the king. You're pouring energy into someone who hasn't earned it. You're showing up 100% for someone who's giving you 20%. That's not love. That's self-abandonment. And it's not attractive. It's exhausting. The unspoken truth about attraction. Here's what nobody tells you. She doesn't want to be the center of your universe. She wants to orbit a man who has a universe of his own. When you have nothing going for you, no mission, no fire, no direction, you become emotionally dependent. You suffocate her with attention, and she starts looking for oxygen somewhere else. But when you're in your lane, focused on purpose, on growth, on becoming, she senses it. She feels the difference. She wonders, why doesn't he need me to feel good about himself? And that is the beginning of her obsession. Detachment is not coldness. It's control. This isn't about being distant to make her miss you. This isn't about pulling back as a manipulation tactic. This is about something deeper. You detach to reclaim your power. You create space because you're building. You don't chase because you're choosing yourself first. And ironically, that's what makes her lean in. The power of presence. Even in absence. Most men think that if they're not constantly present, she'll forget them. Wrong. She forgets the man who's always available. She remembers the man who's rare, disciplined, and unapologetically focused. Let me say it clearly. You don't become unforgettable by chasing. You become unforgettable by becoming. Become what? Become the man who doesn't need her validation to feel like a man. Become the man who disappears, not to punish, but to build. Become the man who makes her think every time she doesn't hear from you. Not, where did he go? But, what is he building without me? Commit to the Stoic path. This is what we'll break down, piece by piece. Detachment without manipulation, the power of earned absence, self-worth rooted in purpose, emotional control and calm confidence, how to spark obsession without saying a word, why chasing destroys attraction. Let's get something straight. Chasing a woman is not the same as pursuing with intent. One is rooted in confidence, the other in desperation. When you chase, what are you really doing? You're subconsciously saying, "You're better than me. I need your attention to feel worthy. Please, pick me." That energy, she feels it, and she runs from it every single time. The harsh reality. You can't earn respect by begging for it. Respect doesn't come from gifts or compliments or texting her all day. It comes from boundaries, direction, and control. When you sacrifice your time, your goals, and your mental peace just to please her, you're not winning her over. You're slowly pushing her away. Because you're no longer a challenge. You're no longer grounded. You've turned into her fan instead of being the man. The world taught you to chase, and it failed you. Since you were young, you've been fed lies. Happy wife, happy life. Do everything to make her feel special. Don't let her get away. But no one told you the cost. You lose yourself trying to keep someone else. Let that sink in. Every time you abandon your path to chase her, you're telling her you're a man without a mission. That's not attractive. That's not masculine. That's not stoic. What happens when you stop chasing? Something magical happens. She starts noticing your absence. She starts wondering why you're not checking in. She starts remembering your presence because it's no longer constantly available. She starts thinking about you, and not because you begged her to, but because your energy shifted, because you're finally back in control. This isn't a game. It's a way of life. Make no mistake. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about becoming hard to forget. And that starts when you stop needing her approval, when you stop overgiving, when you reclaim your time, your mind, and your direction. Remember this line: the man who walks away from what doesn't serve him becomes the man she can't stop watching. You're not punishing her with distance. You're prioritizing your growth. Big difference. The power of absence. Why space creates desire. Let me tell you something most men never learn. Presence is appreciated, but absence, it's remembered. Sounds strange, right? We're told to always be there, always be available, always make her feel secure. But the truth is, desire lives in distance. You can't miss what's always there. Think about it. If you're always texting her, always calling her, always asking to see her, where's the space for mystery? Where's the time for her to feel your absence? You're removing the one thing that makes human desire so powerful: anticipation. We crave what we can't immediately have. We desire what's scarce. We value what we feel slipping away. And when you're always around, you become background noise. But when you step back with confidence and purpose, you become a memory she replays over and over. Absence is not punishment, it's power. Let's be clear. We're not talking about ghosting or silent treatments. We're not talking about disappearing to play games. We're talking about a higher level of masculine discipline. You're living your life. You're focused on your mission. You're not waiting on a reply. You're building your legacy. That's the kind of absence that drives women crazy, not because you're ignoring them, but because you're too locked in on something greater. And that makes you magnetic. Every moment away builds curiosity. When a man is calm, centered, and absent for the right reasons, she starts to ask herself, where is he? What's he doing? Why hasn't he checked in? Is he thinking about me, or has he moved on? That curiosity brews into desire, that desire into attraction, and suddenly you're on her mind more than ever. Not because you chased her, but because you removed your energy and placed it back into yourself. Stillness is your weapon. In a world full of noise, chaos, and overcommunication, stillness makes you stand out. Every man is trying to impress, to explain, to prove something. But the Stoic man, he creates silence, he creates space, and that space creates value. So if you want to be the man she can't stop thinking about, start by giving her the gift of your absence. Because when your life is full of purpose, your time becomes priceless. purpose over pursuit, why she should join your mission. Here's a hard truth, brother. She doesn't want to be your purpose. She wants to be a part of it. Let that sink in for a second. Don't make her your whole world. When a man puts a woman on a pedestal, when he orbits around her, when she becomes the center of his universe, he loses himself. He loses the very thing that attracted her in the first place, his edge, his focus, his ambition. And guess what? She starts to feel it, not admiration, not gratitude, but pressure. She senses he needs her approval, her presence, her validation, more than he needs his own vision, and slowly, the attraction fades. Your purpose comes first, always. A man without a mission is a man who drifts. And a drifting man, he's easy to forget. But when you're dialed in, when your purpose becomes the priority, when your life has meaning outside of her, you become unforgettable. You become the man she can't stop thinking about. Because you're not chasing her. You're chasing your potential. And nothing is more attractive than a man who's becoming who he was meant to be. She wants to be with a king, not create one. Let's be honest. A lot of guys expect a woman to come in and give their life meaning. They think love will fix their emptiness. They think her attention will heal their insecurity. They think her presence will make them whole. But women aren't attracted to boys seeking healing. They're drawn to men walking their own path. That's why detachment is so powerful. You're not cold. You're just centered. You're not running from her. You're running toward your goals. Your mission makes you magnetic. When you make your mission the priority, you naturally become less available. You naturally communicate with intention. You naturally draw her in instead of chasing after her. And that's not a game. That's not manipulation. That's masculine energy at its purest, focused, driven, purposeful. And the moment she sees that, she'll either rise to meet your level or she'll fall away, and you'll be too locked in to even notice. The power of scarcity. Why less is more. Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood, yet most powerful principles in attraction, scarcity. What's common is forgotten. Here's something people won't tell you. The more available you are, the more accessible you are, the more she sees you as replaceable. Why? Because we value what's rare. Simple as that. Think about it. A diamond's valuable not just because it's beautiful, but because you can't find it everywhere. Same with your time, same with your energy, same with your attention. Constant access equals emotional clutter. If she knows she can call, text, or get your attention anytime, she won't feel the need to earn it. And when something is given freely, it's rarely respected. But when she notices your time is limited, when she senses your energy is guarded, when she realizes your attention is a privilege, not a given, everything changes. Suddenly you're not just another guy, you're the guy who has options, because you have standards. Absence isn't rejection, it's reflection. When you're not always around, she starts to wonder, where are you? What are you doing? Why aren't you texting like before? That little gap, that space, it creates mystery. It builds curiosity. And curiosity, that's attraction's best friend. You didn't pull back. You didn't ghost her. You just returned to your life, your mission. And she feels the shift. She starts thinking, did I lose his attention? Did I mess this up? What's he up to? Without me? Now she's invested. Scarcity protects your value. You're not available to everyone. You don't hand out your presence like free samples. Your energy is earned. And when a woman realizes that, she leans in. She begins to respect you. She thinks about you more, not because you gave her more, but because you gave her less, strategically, authentically, from a place of abundance, not need. Emotional mastery, the calm that commands respect. Let's make something very clear. Your emotional state sets the tone for how others treat you. And if you're chasing women with your emotions on your sleeve, reacting to every shift in their mood, trying to decode every text or lack of response, you're not leading, you're following. And women don't desire men who follow their emotional chaos. They crave men who anchor it. Why she can't stop thinking about the man who doesn't flinch. Ever notice how the calmest guy in the room gets the most respect? It's not because he's arrogant. It's because he's in control of himself. He doesn't explode. He doesn't beg. He doesn't over-explain. He simply observes, then speaks with intent. That's the kind of presence that lingers in a woman's mind long after you're gone. Why? Because emotional mastery is rare. And like we said in page 5, scarcity creates value. Control versus suppression. Know the difference. Now let's be clear. We're not telling you to suppress your emotions. You're human. You feel. But a Stoic man doesn't let those emotions drive the car. He lets them ride in the passenger seat, observed but not obeyed. He feels pain but doesn't panic. He feels desire but doesn't chase. He feels uncertainty but doesn't fold. And guess what? Women feel that too. They feel the steadiness. They feel the quiet confidence. They feel the masculine calm that says, I don't lose myself for anyone. React less, reflect more. You don't need to react to every test she throws at you. You don't need to prove anything. Your lack of reaction, your presence in pressure, that's the proof. So when she's distant or cold or tries to trigger you, smile, stay grounded, say less, and let your self-mastery speak louder than any words. Genuine confidence, the silent magnet. Let's talk about the trait that makes a man unforgettable. Confidence, not the fake loud kind, but the quiet, unshakable certainty in who you are. Because here's the truth. A woman may flirt with charm, but she obsesses over confidence. Real confidence isn't flashy, it's felt. You don't need a luxury car. You don't need designer clothes. You don't need to flex on social media. Those things scream insecurity if they're all you have. Confidence isn't something you wear. It's something you are. It's built in silence, in your habits, your discipline, your ability to say no, your willingness to walk away from anything that doesn't serve your standards. That's power. Competence creates confidence. Want to become the man she can't stop thinking about? Become competent. Master your craft. Train your body. Read. Learn. Get better at something every single day. Why? Because when you know you're capable, you don't need to prove anything. Confidence comes when you trust yourself in silence, not when you're begging for attention in noise. She's attracted to the man who doesn't seek her validation. Most guys make the mistake of chasing compliments, attention, approval. But the confident man, he doesn't need to be chosen. He's already chosen himself. And that's what makes him magnetic. Because a man who doesn't need validation becomes a man she wants to validate. The shift that changes everything. So ask yourself, are you living in reaction? Are you trying to earn attention? Or are you becoming the man who's too busy building himself to even notice who's watching? That's the shift. That's how you become unforgettable. The power of presence and the influence of silence. You want her to think about you, right? To crave your energy, to feel your absence, to remember moments when you said nothing, yet said everything. Then you must understand two ancient Stoic tools, presence and silence. Presence, the rarest currency. Today, most men are physically present but mentally lost, distracted by phones, anxious about what to say next, trying to impress, overthink, overtalk. But the Stoic man, he's still, grounded. He speaks less, listens more, and when he does speak, people lean in. That's presence, and it's rare, and whatever is rare is valuable. Silence speaks volumes. Ever noticed how the most powerful men in any room are usually the quietest? That's not by accident. Silence isn't weakness, it's control. Silence makes her think. It makes her wonder. It creates space for mystery and curiosity to grow. And when there's mystery, there's desire. Because what a woman can't figure out, she can't stop thinking about. Don't be afraid to say less. Stop over-explaining yourself. Stop always being available to talk. Stop filling every silence with empty words. Instead, master the art of the pause. Pause before you speak. Pause before you respond. Pause before you react. That pause, it's where power lives. Make your presence felt, not just seen. When you're with her, be fully there, not to impress her, not to convince her, but to simply enjoy the moment as a man who has nothing to prove. Your calm, your focus, your stillness. That's what stays in her mind. Because the man who is not desperate to be seen is the man who is never forgotten. High standards. The silent signal of self-worth. Let's get this straight. You don't become irresistible by lowering your standards to keep someone around. You become irresistible by raising them and walking away when they're not met. That's how you train the world. And yes, her to treat you with value. People treat you how you treat yourself. If you're always the guy who says, it's okay, when it's clearly not. No problem when your boundaries were crossed. Whatever you want because you fear conflict, you've already lost respect, not just hers, your own. Because a man without standards is a man without spine. And a man without spine, he becomes easy to replace, easy to dismiss, easy to forget. Standards aren't rules, they're reflections. Your standards reflect what you tolerate, what you demand from life, what you believe about yourself. When you expect more, you attract better. That applies to your environment, your discipline, and yes, your relationships. When she sees that you hold yourself to a high bar without bragging, without forcing it, she feels something rare. Respect. Stop seeking approval. Start setting boundaries. Women don't want a man who says yes to everything. They want a man who can say no with calm certainty. No, I don't chase validation. No, I don't accept inconsistency. No, I won't trade my peace for drama. And you don't need to shout that. You show it through actions, through distance, through refusal. Because when a man walks away without noise, he speaks the loudest. Scarcity isn't a game. It's a lifestyle. You are not trying to be cold. You are not trying to play hard to get. You are simply focused. And in a world full of noise and weakness, that focus, that discipline, that silence, it becomes unforgettable. Detachment, the final form of power. Let's end this the way a Stoic would. Not with noise, not with desperation, but with clarity, calm, and undeniable strength. Detachment is not coldness, it's control. When you finally stop obsessing over being liked, wanted, or chosen, you start choosing yourself, and that's when everything shifts. You're no longer chasing a feeling, you're creating a life. You're no longer asking, why isn't she texting me back? What can I do to win her attention? Instead, you're asking, what kind of man do I want to become? What purpose am I chasing that makes me magnetic? What peace am I protecting that no one can take from me? She can't stop thinking about you. When you stop thinking about her, that's the paradox. That's the power. She feels your absence more when it comes from a place of abundance, not bitterness. She misses you when your focus is elsewhere, not on proving your worth to her. When your mind is consumed by vision, legacy, and freedom, she wonders where you are, what you're doing, who you're becoming, and she feels your value rising without a word being said. The man who can walk away is the man she'll chase. That doesn't mean you play games. It means you respect yourself so deeply that you never chase anything that isn't aligned with your peace. You don't argue to be understood. You don't beg to be loved. You don't compromise to be accepted. You simply live with purpose. And when someone aligns with that, they join you. If not, you keep walking. Become the man she can't forget. By becoming the man you can be proud of. It all comes down to this: purpose over validation, peace over attention, power over approval. Because the man who needs nothing attracts everything. If this resonated with you, you're already on the path. Now commit to it. Comment below. I choose power over need. Subscribe if you're tired of the noise and ready to level up. And remember, your journey isn't about making her love you. It's about becoming the man who doesn't need her to.